Welcome back, everybody. Courtney, Matt, Arsha. Always say this is one of my favorite questions. We all have tons of influencers generally in our lives. Some of them can be negative. Hopefully, most of them are positive. My first one that I can remember, my grandfather and my grandmother, mom, and they're from Kyiv, and they came to Canada years ago. And my grandfather used to take me on walks in the park when I was 5. And really quick, one day I asked him, I said, Zeta, that's what I called him, how do you know all these people you talk to? It's definitely from him that I got all the talking characteristics. And he said, well, one day I saw a guy and I smiled at him and he came over and he smiled back to me. And then he started talking to me. So we smiled and we were laughing. And then another person came over, saw that we were laughing and smiled at us. And we got to be friends with him. And then we did this and that. And I said, well, that's pretty simple in my own 5-year-old mind, that's all it takes is to smile at somebody and to be able to make an influence like that. And then I learned even more how important it was up to now even. So with that said, maybe Courtney, you can start. Can you share a couple of people that have been influential in your life?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was thinking about this, the first person that came to mind is my teenage daughter, who I mentioned in the earlier conversation. And without sharing too much about her personally, she faces a lot of negativity and criticisms based on her identity, and so I've learned a lot from her about acknowledging the small victories. For her, that means just getting through every day in the face of the negativity that and even cruelty she often encounters. And I think, it's shifted this, I think we are enamored in this world with, breakthrough and groundbreaking and scaling. And this is really sort of going small, but it's so powerful. And so I think I learned a lot from her about that small victory and apply that a lot in my leadership at Global Nomads. And so that's one. And then I think the other is a Global Nomads colleague, our Chief Program Officer, Sandra Stein, who we've now worked together at 2 organizations over a couple of decades. And we did leadership training for principals there. And she grounded all of that work in this idea of ego reduction in leadership. And one of the questions she used to ask all the time is, do you want to be right or do you want to get the right work done? And that is such a grounding question for me. And so much of what we want to do is putting my ego aside and not worrying about being right, but making sure that we're grounded in our purpose and moving the body of work forward. And so, yeah, those are 2 big pieces that influence how I approach my work.
Pretty cool. Really quick, I saw the documentary on We Are the World and how it got started. And the first thing they had before any of the stars all came in was a sign, leave your ego behind.
Oh, yeah.
Great documentary. Matthew.
It's always easy to start with the first one. That's my mom. Far and away the most impactful person. A tough Irish woman, very gritty, no time for drama, but always time for hugs and to be there for you. Great community leader. Actually, I lived on the street that was named after her for a number of years.
Wow.
And she just no nonsense woman, but always had her priorities right, and still today is an inspiration to make her proud and to make her happy. So the second one, I think, I would say my son definitely is in there because I just want to be a better human being because of him. I'm going to give you a little more of an academic one, which when I look to in terms of a role model is Doug Conant from ex-CEO of Campbell Soup. Doug, I was fortunate to be part of a year-long learning group called Higher Ambition Learning Institute that Doug started and runs. And so Doug has written a number of books, but his general sort of thesis is around being tough-minded and tender-hearted. And he's just a really great business leader, great human being, unbelievable spirit, has been very successful both in his professional aspirations, but also in developing humans being, optimizing their performance as leaders themselves. So I think about him and his quotes a lot and sort of my learnings from him, but those 2 in particular stand out as leaders for me.
Was that how, when tomato soup got started with that?
Well, sort of. Long time after that, he was the CEO in the 2010s and the teens, but
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, Arsha, what do you think?
So I wasn't going to go to family members because I probably have to get like a release form for them. So I won't do that. I'll keep all that stuff private. But I don't know. I think I'm going to bring Simon Senek back. There's just been like key moments in my life. And there's just, it's like I get these great reminders from some of the things that he shared and kind of process through working through, allowing empathy to kind of work through and transform how you lead and how you interact with the world. And one of the things, let me read it. Hold on. I just pulled it up. It doesn't matter when we start. It doesn't matter where we start. All that matters is that we start. And such simple words, and it takes a village sometimes to get you to re-enter the world or enter the world in an authentic way. And I've tried my best to kind of show up as much as possible with my authentic self, and it's always a great reminder. So that's one. And then the second is Bill Gates. For a variety of reasons, I had the honor of being a business fellow for one of his climate tech funds and work with companies, and
Cool.
you learn about kind of the culture of curiosity, and like, where does curiosity take you to a place, led by an individual whose incessant curiosity has led to creating solutions for our world's greatest challenges. So it's kind of, the two are at the opposite end of the spectrum. One is, work for thyself, and then work for all others.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The one thing one person told me is that I think is really important in all what you guys said is we're always also each influencing people. A lot of times we don't even know we are. So it's our choice to be positive or negative, because it will go on and on and on. And so it's important to keep that in mind. Thank you for sharing all those important people. Really appreciate it.